half the original ECW locker room, and everybody, even some of his favorites, said to me and you, Heyman was a liar, Heyman was a thief, Heyman was a moron, and I can see that because he's so far up Brock Lesnar's ass. With the Undertaker and everything going with Brock Lesnar, obviously what they're saying was legit.
Yeah. The one thing I will look at here with this, and I'm going to be looking at some of Lisa's stuff. Lisa put up some good topics which we could get into too. But the one thing I will say about ECW, only one person really went into that thing to become a hardcore wrestler that I was impressed with, and that was Tommy Dreamer at the time. Until you got up to the 2000s when Tommy Dreamer was getting out of shape because he insisted on wrestling with a bad back and not rehabbing it. At that point, Tommy Dreamer was even becoming passé. But if you look at Tommy Dreamer, 96, 97, 98, I thought you saw some great stuff out of Tommy Dreamer. But,
me too. Tommy was awesome.
I thought Tommy Dreamer was great. He gave up a lot just so he could become the face of ECW. He was to ECW what Sting was to WCW. He never jumped ship where all the others have. He stayed there right along, and he only worked ECW. And the only time you could ever think back to him would be on an independent show when he was still the pretty boy.
Yeah, Sting was pretty loyal. He was the man. He was the torch carrier without a doubt. And in WWE, it's all about the Randy Ortons, the John Cenas, the Brock Lesnars. It's terrible. And I don't blame Sting for being upset. I really don't. I support Sting. I support people like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin's views on it because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Bringing a legend like Sting in 14 years just to break a sledgehammer over his head and kick him in the face and break his neck. Give me a break.
Yeah, it's just, what they did there, Sting, I know Sting's not at his best anymore. Let's face it, he's looking more and more his age all the time. I understand that, but I think even at that point you had to realize Sting may have been a guy who never broke his neck until now. But now you're looking at a situation where Sting's not going to come back. At his age, when his neck heals, he's not going to come back. You're to the point to where probably next year, not this coming WrestleMania, but the WrestleMania after, you'd just be better off just inducting him into the Hall of Fame and getting it over with.
Yeah, he's done. Once you break your neck, you're done. You're finished. You're never going to be the same after you break your neck. We saw it with Edge. We saw it with Chris Benoit. We saw it with this one, that one. We saw it with Shawn Michaels, even with his back. Injuries are hard to come back from.
Yeah, no, they are. You're absolutely right. One thing I will say, where it goes, I think one of the worst things that ever happened was for Steve Austin was, roughly around where his success was really starting, and he really got over, and he was really becoming the next big superstar after the Hulkamania era had ended. The worst thing that happened, that success was the worst thing that happened to him because that's when he broke his neck with Owen Hart. He broke his neck there, and he had to take alternative ways to get his neck, in the best shape possible. When he should have had surgery back then, but it would have kept him out for over a year. He saw Dr. Andrews, he saw Youngblood, Dr. Youngblood. It was Youngblood in the end who did the neck surgery for him. Yeah. And you saw what that did to him. After that, because he never did it back then, you just simply saw his body deteriorate while he was the big superstar. If he never broke his neck, people would have still been saying, even to where Steve Austin retired, that he could still be Bill Goldberg's ass. But with what his neck turned into, especially when he returned in 2001. When he finally made that return, dear God, I thought he would have rehabbed himself much better, but his neck was bad enough at that point, and he was so out of shape. You could see his neck, his shoulders. He wasn't in that great a shape, and I just looked and I said, Bill Goldberg looks like a monster. If Steve Austin could have had his success as Stone Cold and had the body he had back when he first started wrestling, I mean, I would still say Austin could beat Goldberg, but at that point, that neck would not stand a chance against a powerhouse like a Goldberg. And I looked at this and I said, I knew he was going to be done. He stayed long enough. In the end, he stayed long enough to where The Rock could get the big win over him. That was it.
That was it. Once The Rock beat him, that was it. That was see you later. Thanks for coming. And it's the same thing with Sting. That match with Seth Rollins was the nail in his coffin. He's done. Even if you see Undertaker versus Sting at WrestleMania 32 or 33, he's done. He's finished. And I hate to admit that because I was a really big Sting fan, and I hate to admit that.
It's sad. It really is sad. I mean, and if you notice The Undertaker, you're starting to see a style that he was as the American Badass, because Undertaker is a little more human, and you can't have him play that phenom like he used to be. So you're starting to see. So I mean, it's just, and that was with Brock Lesnar. And if you remember his character as the American Badass, him facing Brock Lesnar the way he is today would have been perfect.
Oh yeah, perfect. It would have been perfect. Didn't that Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar back in the day would have been money. But now you're seeing Undertaker move slower. Like you said, the human tendencies and stuff. I think it's time for Undertaker to slow it down. And I think that if there ever was a time for him to have his last match, no matter who it's against, whether it be John Cena, Randy Orton, whoever it is, next year at WrestleMania, after 26 years, it's time for The Undertaker to go. Seriously contemplate retiring, and it's time for him to go. Because, like you just said, the human tendencies are starting to shine through. Nobody wants to see that out of The Undertaker. And nobody wants to see things like his streak ending. They want to see the inferior Undertaker. And things like inferior Undertakers and Stings now, they're a thing of the past.
I mean, there are people that, have talked about The Undertaker, and even this past year at WrestleMania, people were upset that Bray Wyatt lost like he did to Undertaker, because then Undertaker was gone. After not, he shows up after being around for a year just for that match. You didn't see anything else. He defeats Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, at that point, you didn't know what you were going to do with him until you reformed the Wyatts with this Braun Strowman, whatever you want to call him, and you were really going up against the one who really had the hot hand until the internet wrestling community turned on him while he was away. And this is what makes the internet wrestling community lose credibility, in my opinion, of it all. I mean, even my sister Jen tries to say Roman Reigns sucks. I mean, and she listens to a podcast where they are the internet wrestling community. I've told her that. I mean, it's just, I said, Roman Reigns, is the guy who's the right size and everything, and now you got him being overpowered. You're not doing anything to have him turn that corner that you needed him to turn before you put him in there against the Brock Lesnar. So my guess is if The Undertaker has one more match, he needs to do it against Roman Reigns, and he needs to let Roman Reigns be the one credited with retiring The Undertaker.
Yeah, or somebody within that same category. Somebody in that category has to do it. Roman Reigns or Roman Reigns' category, because it's time for him to really slow it down. Vince McMahon is playing too much of a favoritive game with The Undertaker, and it's really time for The Undertaker to slow it down. I, for 15, 16 years, interviewing people, search for the answer to the question, how much longer does The Undertaker have? And everybody that I've spoken to, you yourself, Bob, have said the same thing to us. They believe The Undertaker's going to go for as long as he's physically able to. But the question is, how much longer is that? How much longer can a near 60-year-old man keep doing what he's doing before he starts breaking down? He can't go much longer.
I mean, I remember you and I talking about this, that I was debating that the streak should have been broken back when he had to face Batista. I really thought Batista should have ended that streak with him. I thought Edge should have probably been the one. I mean, thank God it wasn't Edge, because Edge had to go into early retirement. But you need someone who's really going to be the future of WWE to do this. And after what you had this past WrestleMania with with what you did to Bray Wyatt, it's not going to happen. And I'm not the biggest fan of Bray Wyatt, but he is hot, and he really could have used the win so you can get someone to the next level. I mean, Bray Wyatt's so hot that he doesn't need a title to he doesn't need to wear a title belt to get himself over. That's how hot he is. But that loss to him almost made him almost go back to the level of a Husky Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, and you remember when Bray did that character of Husky Harris?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. He was the one that hit John Cena in the face and forced John Cena to join Nexus. Again, because you had no creative stars in Nexus, so the only thing they could do, let's have John Cena join Nexus. I swear to God, I'd love to be in the house for a WWE creative board meeting. I'd probably be the one that stands up and says, you guys are all idiots. The thing they keep going back to are too many original things. Like they have no creative stars in Nexus. Bring Nexus in with so much promise. Let's have John Cena join them. Like, come on.
I thought the best thing that could have ever happened in Nexus was CM Punk taking the group over. But they separated Nexus. They cut them in half, and you did not see what you could have seen out of that group. I mean, now you're trying to do what you're trying to do with Wade Barrett, and Wade Barrett is just...
It would have been better for us to start up our own Nexus against In Your Head.
Yeah.
That's probably what we should have started up our own. It would have been better to see the Wacko Network going up against In Your Head. I don't even know what those guys are doing anymore.
I don't know what they're doing either, but to need someone like Swax on their show, I mean, they can't be that good.
Oh my!
I know
God.
that.
Has he got a permanent spot on there now?
I don't know, man. I don't know what goes on. I haven't. It's been a long time since I saw In Your Head. In fact, if I saw a shoot interview with a wrestler I'd want to hear, if I found out it was on In Your Head's page on YouTube, I wouldn't go to it. That's how seriously I take with my issues with In Your Head, because I will not support someone who really, at this point, to what the internet wrestling community.
I wouldn't doubt it if my YouTube channel just posting video blogs on certain celebrities and video games is getting higher views than what In Your Head is getting, because it's the same wrestlers all the time. Who cares about Sid Justice? Who cares about